Privett. Thank you for joining us here on Featured. We hope to inspire or simply make you smile with some uplifting stories across the country. First up, we do want to say if you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, know that there is hope. Paige McCoy-Smith sits down with a couple who shares how critical support is during the journey to sobriety.
Tell me about the circumstances that led you here.
A lifetime of drinking casually, and then it turned into opiates and cocaine and almost any other drug you could think of, and it steadily spiraled out of control to where I was using every day, all day, and it was very painful. It was a second job, and I don't wish it on anybody. It was the most terrifying time in my life, I guess you'd say.
Can you describe the moment when you realized, I got to get help?
I looked up and, I kind of hopefully do what a lot of people do. I looked up and I said, God, why don't you help me? But I wasn't religious, I wasn't spiritual, I was nothing. I'd looked at both of my sons at 6:30 in the morning, and they had seen me using all night. And I mean, they didn't watch me all night, but they saw the after effects of it, and the look in their eyes was just devastating. And so coming here was the hardest and the best decision I'd ever made. I remember checking in at the front desk, and then I looked at her and I said, well, I guess this is my walk of shame. And she says, no, it's going to be your new walk of life.
What Valley Hope was able to do to put you on the right track. And unfortunately, though, when it comes to recovery, when you walk out this door, that's not the end of the recovery process. With regards to recovery, when you walk out this door, that doesn't mean the end of your journey. It's actually kind of a beginning in some ways. And that's where you came in. And I can see you getting emotional right now just hearing his story. You did not meet your husband until after he had finished treatment.
Yes, and that was very hard to understand because I didn't know anything about AA. Like I said, but I learned how to help him, be patient, love him, and it's just like, I don't think you can do this if you don't love somebody the way I love him. It's a lot of patience. How
important has this relationship been to you?
Oh, it's everything.
Recovery?
Yes, everything. It's, I kind of want to touch on when walking out these doors for the first time too. Your whole world speeds up. Because when you're in here, you're in a treatment center, you're safe. But once you walk out those doors, it's a new sense of freedom and despair, I guess you'd say. It's scary, because you got all the decisions that you can make out there. And then I think the most remarkable thing about this whole journey has been my wife, Jalix, has been there for me. And when you have that unconditional love and somebody backing you that not necessarily understands it at the beginning, but is willing to understand it and willing to grow through with you, it's huge. I mean, I don't think I'd be sober without her. And I always wondered what that meant, and she's a miracle that I have her in my life. And it's also, it's a miracle that one person can change. I thought I was alone and didn't think I could change, but, being with Valley Hope and, people here, they care.
So I just stay. And it's kind of like every day for him was every day for me too, hoping he just get better. And when you see that person changing little by little, but changing, and he want to change, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to stay. I'm going to be there. He need me, or that's what I thought. He need me, I think, and I love him, and I stay and just continued my journey with him.
Well, it's been a pretty remarkable journey, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for sharing your story.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
What an incredible story, and I hope their story helps someone watching today. That was Paige McCoy-Smith reporting. Now, for many veterans, the transition back to civilian life can be challenging. after witnessing tough events that they don't want to talk about. Brian White shows us how a nonprofit in San Diego is helping veterans in that area work through those challenges, one loyal companion at a time.
I will say that the transition was probably the hardest piece that I've ever done in my entire life. And I'm telling you, without Angie right here, I don't know where I'd be today.
Retired Marine Wes Kelly served 2 tours in Afghanistan. His firsthand experience in war zones exposed him to the brutal realities of combat.
It ain't like what you thought about, like as kids, you know, you think about war and things like this and gunfighting. Oh yeah, it's gung-ho. What they don't teach you is the things that you do see and that you are not prepared to talk about, or the events and the aftermath of those effects.
Freedom Dogs did for Wes what they do best. They paired him with a loyal companion. Angie's been with him for 6 years now.
She means the world to me. I mean, especially to my family, the most part. You know, transitioning back to being a civilian and coming back from war zones.
Here at the 12th annual Freedom Dogs Golf Tournament, they're raising money for the nonprofit, and many veterans here have similar stories.
Returning from Afghanistan, I was not able to readjust so easily, and their handlers and obviously the dogs were a lifeline to me to kind of bring me back from combat.
The nonprofit's executive director, Peggy Poore, says they work with wounded warriors at Camp Pendleton and help veterans with PTSD and traumatic brain injuries.
If they become anxious, the dog can alert them to that, and it gives them a moment to stop and think about how they're responding and take a breath and decompress before it becomes elevated.
Freedom Dogs trains a lot of black and yellow labs. Trainer Sue Johnson says they start them as early as 8 weeks old.
The dogs are amazing. They're so empathetic, and they really, really help all of us. It's very fulfilling to be able to train these dogs and see the impact that they have on people's lives.
That was Brian White reporting. For decades, women have made waves in the U.S. Navy, breaking barriers and paving the way for future generations. And now their stories are on full display aboard the USS Lexington, from the first female aviators to those serving today. Carly Smith takes us to a new exhibit that honors the courage, resilience, and contributions of women in the Navy.
It was 1981 when the first female to ever land on an aircraft carrier did it right here on the USS Lexington in a jet similar to this one.
It's a big rush, and I don't know if the bigger rush is the trap or the catapult shot. That to me was cooler than grits. It was just great.
Right here, here's Patricia Dinkler. This is her. This is her the day where she landed the TA-4.
The first woman to qualify in a jet on an aircraft carrier, and of course, that was the Lexington. Yeah, we're pretty proud of that.
History, now seen on display in the new Women in the Navy exhibit aboard the USS Lexington Museum.
I most definitely have to give credit to the women that went before me.
One of the first women to earn their wings as United States Naval Aviator in 1974 was Rosemary Canastra Mariner.
Join us in celebrating the indomitable spirit of the women of the Navy.
We always thought we need to tell the story about women of the Navy, and the reason is because the USS Lexington is the first aircraft carrier in the Navy that had women serving aboard as part of the crew.
It's an idea more than 7 years in the making. Executive Director Steve Bantis said the exhibit really started to come to life about 4 years ago.
The more research we did, we realized just how great this story is, and you really need to tell the whole story. Okay, so we went back all the way to the beginning, 1908. When the Nurse Corps was founded in the U.S. Navy, women were officially part of the Navy.
It's a stepping stone. You build off of one. You climb up on one set of shoulders, and you become the next set of shoulders, and the next person becomes the next. And that's just the way it is. And that's in any aspect of life, I believe.
And throughout the Navy right now, everything has full equality where all you got to do is just have the ability to do the job, and you can do the job.
It's like the women right now today, I believe they have as much on their shoulders as they ever did. And, you know, they're the ones that will be carrying things forward. And all the youngsters that come to the museum and see the exhibition and get motivated to perhaps do that in their life.
There you go.
That was Carly Smith reporting. Now, the featured party is just getting started. Here's a look at what's ahead. Saddle up for rodeo. We meet a bareback rider who is blasting his way to the top of rodeo on his own terms. Plus, Rubik's Cube unlocked. We'll tell you how the difficult puzzle became the missing piece to one man's life in Virginia, and a chance to see 2 million fish above water. We explore the strange, poisonous, and nearly extinct marine collection that you can only see in one place. We take you there right after the break. Welcome back. You know, a trip to the library can take you back in time through the pages of a book, but in San Diego, visitors won't have to flip through pages for a lesson on marine life. Sean Stiles takes us to an underwater library that includes more than 2 million marine species, some from as far back as the 1800s. Check it out.
This is the Scripps Institution of Oceanography's marine vertebrate collection. So when we say marine vertebrate, we mean things with backbones that are living in the ocean.
Ben Frabel is the marine vertebrates collection manager at Scripps.
I mean, I'm astounded how many fish in this collection, I mean, not here, but the entire collection.
Yeah, so in this room, there are about 2 million fish specimens.
And Ben's in charge of all 2 million.
1,000 or so of these jars.
Just like any good library, Scripps archives go back in time.
This is one of our oldest lots. These are 3 salmon that were collected in 1886.
Along with the odd and peculiar is this deadly stonefish.
On their back, they have these spines that have a venom that is apparently quite painful and potentially deadly.
Or there's this lancet fish that has an incredible appetite and eats other fish whole.
These guys are a midwater lizardfish. Local fishermen may know lizardfish as those pesky fish that take their bait all the time.
The collection covers the world, but has a focus on the Pacific.
Ours is a bit focused on the Pacific Ocean, and especially fishes of the eastern Pacific, say from Alaska down through Chile, including the tropics like the Galapagos and places like that.
You'll also find specimens from Australia.
This is a fish called a leafy sea dragon, which is related to seahorses and pipefish. It's actually a type of pipefish. That the Birch Aquarium here at Scripps was a pioneer in getting these to actually breed in captivity.
It also keeps track of fish that might be lost forever.
It's called a swallow damsel because they have this forked tail like a swallow, the bird. But this particular species is potentially extinct.
To keep all these specimens in a suspended state, it takes an interesting cocktail.
So they're put through a series of chemicals, kind of like embalming a body. This prevents any decay, kind of fixes proteins together, and then they're stored long-term in spirits.
Ben even brought out the reason we first stopped by.
Oh my.
The anglerfish.
You know, they're kind of hovering in the deep sea. They use this little lure on their head. It's called an esca. It has glowing bacteria that live inside of it. They wave that around. That little glowing light looks like something tasty, maybe a little squid or something like that. Something will swim up. It's not something they can eat. It's actually this fish. They open their mouth very wide, slurp the prey down.
You're probably wondering why it's important to have such a large collection.
So these are used kind of like a library. Researchers from all over the world can either come visit us or actually we'll send fish in the mail to them.
With over 2 million fish in the collection, one could spend months looking. But what we saw was absolutely amazing.
And that was Sean Stiles reporting. Now, when you were 11 years old, you might have had dreams about becoming a singer or maybe an actor, but what about an entomologist? Yep, that's right, someone who studies insects. Lydia Herrera tells us how a happy accident led a girl down this path, and now she is inspiring others in Texas.
Dory Sanchez says Miranda has always had a passion for insects. But it wasn't until she was enrolled in a science camp a couple years ago that new opportunities began to unfold. Only the camp was for high school students.
My first instinct was, what did she do? And I'm so sorry. But it wasn't that she did anything wrong.
It's just, I was the youngest one there. It was weird, but not like scary weird. Just weird.
Entomologist Ashley Smith, who was volunteering with the camp that day, said Miranda stood out in the group of 62 kids. Not because of her age, but because she was actively answering all of his questions. Impressed by her curiosity, Smith decided that day to become her mentor.
I didn't have that when I was growing up. So what I didn't receive, I now give. That combined with the fact that when these children come with this passion, I think that passion needs to be nurtured and not ignored.
Smith has provided Miranda with several opportunities, including presenting in front of scientists and college students. Dory says these experiments have been crucial in helping Miranda build her confidence.
I'm proud of her. She's done amazing. She has no problem public speaking now. She had a fear in the beginning, but she's gotten over it, and she just goes out there and does it, and it's amazing because you don't see that in a lot of kids nowadays.
That's a big butterfly because that's just helping.
Miranda not only inspires to become a veterinarian and entomologist, but also hopes to mentor other children just as Smith did for her.
Definitely, because then I'll be able to guide us and the next generation of entomologists.
It is so great that Miranda discovered her passion at such a young age, and it looks like she is well on her way to becoming an entomologist in the future. We need an update from Lydia Herrera. Thank you for that story. All right, we are staying in Texas, y'all, to meet the so-called bad boy of rodeo. There he is on your screen. Rocker Steiner is one of the best bareback riders in the country, but as Sean Giggy shows us, he doesn't mind ruffling a few feathers on the way to the top.
It's like I gotta come ride with you.
No matter where he goes on his family's 400-acre Weatherford ranch, Rocker Steiner can't avoid the shadows.
Sid Steiner!
His father and grandfather were world champion cowboys. A legacy Rocker carried nowhere.
I thought wearing a cowboy hat was stupid. I had nothing to do with rodeo, and I never wanted anything to do with rodeo.
Instead, Rocker rode his own wave, becoming one of the best youth wakeboarders in the country. But eventually, that got old, and he wanted something new.
I didn't know what I wanted to do, and my granddad, he thought that I should ride bareback horses, and I was like, is riding bareback horses.
Goodness, how impressive is this young man? 18 years old.
Less than 3 years later, at just 21, he's arguably the best bareback rider in the world.
Come on, Rocker!
And the most polarizing.
What champions are made of.
Both loved and loathed for being unfiltered.
People have this idea that cowboys are like these perfect human beings. They're like the heroes, which the heroes up to, you know? I don't want people to think that I'm like this perfect human that never fails.
His authenticity has come at a cost.
19-year-old wild man.
Rocker's been fined, suspended, and jeered. And yet, the bad boy of rodeo, as some have called him, refuses to be who he's not.
I don't identify with cowboy. I mean, if we're talking pronouns, cowboy ain't one of them.
He says all he wants to be is the best, no matter if it's hopscotch or horses.
I mean, if you give me a shot at glory, you can take my right arm away from me when I'm older, so I don't care. I'll do whatever it takes to be the best at whatever I choose to do next.
Because Rocker Steiner wasn't meant for the shadows.
And who knows what he's going to accomplish before it's all said and done.
Only the spotlight.
The best yet.
In Weatherford, I'm Sean Giggy.
All right now, Rocker, I see why they call him the bad boy of rodeo. Stay with us. We are throwing it back to 1997. Some of y'all probably weren't even born yet. But do you remember Usher's R&B hit, Nice and Slow? Yeah, we'll tell you why some fans are going over the lyrics, nice and slow, and are questioning their hearing. Plus, a little bit later on, we're listening for life beyond this world, why aliens could be calling us, but we can't answer. Welcome back. Let's kick off this trending segment with a little USHERAYMOND. Usher Raymond, the internet is fired up over the R&B singers. I still have my mic here. Let's put this down. Internet's fired up over the R&B singers hit Nice and Slow from the 90s. Here's why.
7 o'clock on the dot, I'm in my drop top, who's in the streets?
Okay, now if you didn't catch it, instead of Usher saying cruising the streets, he says who's in the streets, huh? Now, what have you been saying all this time? A lot of folks online are weighing in right now. They say Usher is completely wrong. One user writing, Usher, Respectfully, those aren't your lyrics. Well, we did some digging of our own and found on multiple websites the lyrics are indeed cruising in the streets. And I gotta tell you, Usher, I don't care what you say, who's in the streets, I'm going to continue saying cruising the streets. As for me and mine, we're sticking with cruising. All right, now Mug Root Beer is rolling out a new vending machine that takes an unusual form of payment. Check this out. That's nuts. All thirsty customers have to do is simply bark at the machine to get a can. This is all a part of Mug Root Beer's Last Dog Standing campaign, which celebrates college basketball teams in the NCAA tournament with dog nicknames. Oh my gosh, we need one of those on the UConn campus for the Huskies. Oh, there is one on the UConn campus, okay. Now, I just know there is a video floating around somewhere of a Q dog barking at the machine. If you find it, send it to me, although I'm not sure the elders at the Omega Psi Phi fraternity would love that. Alrighty, that's it for Trending. We have much more for you on Featured. We will share how a man found refuge in a Rubik's Cube, and we have a look at how one family's journey to have a slice of the American dream led to a 100-year legacy. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us here on Featured. I'm Symphonie Privett, and we are continuing to bring you some uplifting stories from across the country. Have you ever tried to solve a Rubik's Cube? Well, you know, it isn't easy. In fact, according to IPASIO, less than 6% of the total population can do it. Sean Martinelli introduces us to a young man who is among this very small percentage.
At the Claude Moore Recreation Center in Sterling, Virginia, every day, Sam Richard thinks about solutions.
Sometimes I would come here when I'm not working and just walk for miles on end.
Sweeping, thinking, solving.
The bell is right there on the right side.
This guidance counselor approaches each task as if it were a puzzle.
Sometimes I will be like, if you like this, I'm sure you'll like the Rubik's Cube.
The Rubik's Cube.
Done.
40 seconds.
Go.
Scramble one up for Sam.
Done.
38 seconds. And his brain can somehow do that.
Done.
33 seconds.
Done.
26 seconds. It's especially confounding when you consider this.
I was born without the corpus callosum, the centerpiece of the brain that connects the hemispheres.
He's a genius, right?
It's the same condition Dustin Hoffman's character had in the movie Rain Man.
Do you know how much the square root of 2,130 is?
46.15192304. I was a happy kid.
32 years ago, Sam arrived missing that crucial piece in his brain.
Fun life as a baby.
It made solving the puzzle of life each day difficult.
They would kick over my projects.
Sam was bullied, often.
There was a lot of times, you know, he'd invite friends over, they wouldn't show up. So there's a lot of heartache, you know, watching him grow up.
That's Sam's dad, Mark.
For most things, he just wasn't as good as everybody else, or he was very delayed. Like, he only learned to ride a bike around 12 years old. So there's always just heartache along the way until the Rubik's Cube showed up.
I needed a tool to just escape from all that torment.
The cube became Sam's escape.
A normal 2x2.
His hobby.
17 by 17 cube.
His form of art.
My mosaic of shine.
While Sam navigated other things slowly.
4, 5.
He could conquer that 3x3 cube fast.
There's just more and more and more that things just kept falling in place.
You can create something with the rhombi icosahedron dodecahedron.
Sam eventually became an official Rubik's Cube ambassador.
The algorithms get more seen.
He's also a teacher and a frequent speaker. Though Sam's presentations
I have a slow learning development.
Are not just about solving the cube.
Had I not have a disability, would I have become a Rubik's Cuber? Most likely not.
In a testament to his son's impact, Mark was recently approached by another father who said this.
He's my son's hero.
Words this dad
It was really neat.
never expected to hear.
It really was neat.
Can you solve all your Rubik's Cubes in your collection?
Not all, but a good percentage.
Inspiring the next generation is where we thought we'd leave you.
I wear this every Halloween.
Until Sam introduced us
I'm going to move this over to here.
to someone else.
I take my time.
That's his grandfather, who's now hooked on the cube.
I do it every day.
At 92.
It is tough sometimes, Grandpa, but you got this.
Sam offers the same suggestion he gives everyone.
Don't give up.
Advice for solving puzzles.
And I can just bring that back and get that solved.
And cracking the code of life.
Okay.
In Loudoun County, Virginia, Sean Martinelli.
All right, now imagine starting a successful business before you even hit your teens. I can assure you, I was not thinking about becoming an entrepreneur when I was a teen. I was more concerned about which beach I was going to over the weekend. I want to introduce you to two sisters in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They are the masterminds behind a lemonade stand that has turned into big league business. Gabrielle Madiak shows us how.
There's nothing quite like a cold drink on a hot summer day. At just 9 and 11 years old, Harrisburg sisters Rain and Taj Saunders were wise beyond their years, and they had a mind for business.
We thought of something that would do good in the summertime, and we thought of lemonade, and that was 6 years ago.
From humble beginnings,
we had a table, we had a little flimsy tablecloth. Me and my sister went to the store and we just got blue plain shirts, and it started right here in our home, in our backyard.
To recently expanding their own business into an on-the-go operation.
It's very, very exciting to know that we just started at a table in our backyard or at a carnival, and now that we have an entire trailer.
Rain and Taj's homemade lemonade continues to grow.
When we first started, we only had 4, which were strawberry, mango, lemon, and blueberry.
They now have more than 20 flavors.
We like to get inspiration from other businesses or think of things that we would want to try that we haven't seen before.
But proving themselves as young entrepreneurs wasn't easy. They faced a lot of skepticism.
These are 2 little kids. How are they gonna actually make a profit off this and sell me some good lemonade? And it was also my friends and peers your lemonade business isn't serious. You don't see yourself going places.
Now at 14 and 17 years old, they're sharing their journey of success.
I was just around all these college students and I was like, wow, they actually like our lemonade, and I see that this is not just a small business anymore and that this could actually be something.
And the pair has no plans of stopping anytime soon. Their goal is to expand into a warehouse and brick and mortar store where they can hire employees to help them make that fresh lemonade. And the sisters hope what they've accomplished can be an inspiration to other young people.
I would say keep going. Things aren't going to always go the way that you want them to, but you just have to keep striving, especially if you have goals. It'll definitely help your perseverance.
Yes, that is right. Way to keep going despite the naysayers, girls. Great job. That was Gabrielle Madiak reporting. Now, a lot can happen in 100 years. The first artificial heart was made in 2015. Neil Armstrong took a giant leap for mankind in 1969. But in 1925, a pizza legacy began in New Haven, Connecticut. This year, Connecticut's original Frank Pepe's Pizza location turns 100. Celebrating a century of service, so many pizzas served, and millions of smiles. Stephen Reels takes a look at the story behind the pizza empire.
For generations, families have been traveling to Wooster Street to the original location just to try some of the famous New Haven-style pizza. In fact, back in the day, Frank Pepe and his family lived on the 2nd floor while they served customers on the 1st. But the story doesn't start here. It actually started right here at the building next door, the spot where 2 Italian immigrants began a life together and decided to build their American dream.
My grandfather and grandmother were hard workers.
To the world, they were Frank and Philomena.
Just look at that. Look at the love they had.
But to Jennifer Kelly, they were so much more. They were her family.
Grandpa was downstairs making pies, and Nornie was upstairs making food. And this is what our family was all about. Making food, giving it out, and also creating love and just a kinship.
After her grandfather's return to fight in World War I, the Pepe settled in New Haven, where Frank worked in a pasta factory, and then this bakery on Wooster Street, where he used this brick oven to start selling his version of a Beats, and officially took over the bakery in 1925. Well, the rest was history.
You have the freshest tomatoes, pecorino romano cheese, and then you just add the fresh ingredients. You just play around with it. It's like what he did, the dough, the flour, how he created that. That's unbelievable.
It wasn't until 1937 when the business moved next door, where it's called home ever since. It was this coal fire oven that provided the spark. The same process that's used today.
That's well done, anyway.
Their ingredients for success have been the same ones still imported from Italy, and that same family atmosphere.
Even our workers today, they're not workers, they're part of our family. That's who we are.
Like a lot of her family, Kelly pulled her fair share of shifts at the restaurant growing up. Now, she's the third generation of the Pepe family to help run the pizzeria, a role her mother shared with her aunt, and a position Kelly doesn't take lightly.
Unheard of for going into the third, now fourth generation, having a restaurant that survived.
Survived and thrived. Over the past 10 years, the business grew, opening up more locations in Connecticut and expanding to Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., and even all the way down to Florida, with more than 650 employees part of the extended Pepe Pizza family.
This one looks good.
It's all about the quality and preserving the legacy. It's not necessarily about growing the fastest. Even though the world changes and the people change and the company grows, we still stick to our traditions.
That original style continues to bring in fans from all over, ready to settle which style of pizza is superior. Hint, it's New Haven.
You can really judge a pizza by the crust and the quality of the tomatoes, and they're knocking it out of the park.
All my New York friends, I bring them over to Frank Pepe, so the family's a fan, friends have become a fan, and I'm definitely a fan. I'm originally from New York City, so New Yorkers, we love our thin slice, but I gotta tell you, New Yorkers, Connecticut got you when it comes to pizza.
In Connecticut, and more importantly, New Haven, pizza has been an unwavering part of the community, ready to welcome die-hard fans and new ones, like me. So before I dug into my very first slice of Frank Pepe pizza, I knew I needed help from a pro. I am with my friend Leah. We've known each other for 10 plus years at this point. When I said I was moving to Connecticut, the first thing you said was you need to try the pizza. And I could not think of any better person to take me on this journey. Why are you such a big advocate for pizza here?
Because people say that New York might have the best pizza, Chicago has the best pizza, Italy has the best pizza. No, New Haven or bust.
It carries like that reverence for everything, and you were saying that even when you were a kid you could notice that. Could you take me through that?
Just when I was a kid, seeing that line, I'm like, lines are for roller coasters, they're not for food. Like, why is everyone waiting for this pizza? And you know, the first bite that went into my mouth, I fell in love, and now pretty much at least once a week, I have to have pizza. Like, I want that like crispiness at the bottom, but the softness at the top, and New Haven Pizza just does it perfect. I've recommended it to at least 10 to 15 people, and each person was like, this is top 3 or the best pizza I've ever had.
This is what I'm excited for. It's my first slice of Frank Pepe's pizza. No better way to start, I feel, than with the clam pizza right here. Cheers.
Cheers.
You're right, that slaps. That is so good. That made me really happy. I don't know how to explain it, but that made me happy.
Right?
When you do take that bite, does it still taste like what your grandfather would make?
Absolutely. Does it taste the same? You can ask everyone. Everyone's going to give you a different answer. It's a Pepe's pizza. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, it's a Pepe's pie, and it's a different pie. It's just, we're unique.
I love it. Okay, Stephen Reels joins us here in the studio to dish on his first slice of the famous New Haven style of beets. That's what they call the pizza in Connecticut. So there's been a lot of chatter about Connecticut being the pizza capital of the world. You're not from Connecticut originally,
I'm not.
So what was the verdict? What do you think?
The verdict is I really do feel like people are sleeping on New Haven pizza. You know, we have Frank Pepe's, obviously. We have Sally's, we have Modern, we have Bar. Have not been to that one yet, so I can't rule on it. But there's something about New Haven pizza that it's different, it's nice, it's fresh. I'm from the mountains of Virginia, so having like that little bit of wood fire with it, there's just like something that screams home to me. And so I don't know if that's my dad's European influence on me, but like it's so perfect. I could not recommend it enough at this point.
I love it. It is pretty good. I've told you guys before, if you come to Connecticut, get you some New Haven style of beets pizza. It's pretty tasty. All right, thank you so much for joining us, Stephen.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And we have much more to come on Featured. Now, this one is a little out there. Is there a cosmic message waiting for us right above our heads? We'll tell you how one man's roof might bring us a little closer to finding alien life. Welcome back. And now to the story that I said would be a little bit out there. Big question is, could aliens be trying to send Earth a message? A Grammy Award-winning inventor is determined to find out. Richard Factor is letting scientists use his Sedona rooftop to scan the night sky and search for some solid clues, which could prove we're not alone in the universe. Kyle Simchuk has more in Arizona.
Right now we're listening to 14 megahertz.
Richard Factor has spent his life tinkering with electronics and shaping the sounds we hear.
Starting in 1970, special effects devices.
He co-founded Eventide and made deals with big artists and recording studios.
Led Zeppelin. I'd love to say the Beatles, but I'm not sure of that.
His inventions even earned him a technical Grammy Award. Now in his late 70s, Factor is focusing far beyond the range of his home-based ham radio tower.
One of my big hopes, big hobbies, big aspirations to discover space aliens.
And these instruments could be the key to finding them. Factor's rooftop houses an instrument that's part of Laser SETI Network. The project, run by the SETI Institute, is looking for lasers in deep space.
We have the capability to do this kind of survey, but we have not been doing it. So if aliens are calling us right now, nobody will answer.
Dr. Frank Marches is SETI's director of citizen science. He says aliens could be using lasers to send a message to Earth or to communicate with each other. Either way, this growing network of cameras should be able to capture them. And if they do,
people will be aware very quickly because scientists are very bad at hiding secrets, as you may know. We talk a lot about our research. So if we detect something like this, there will be a request for observations from multiple people. You will be aware literally in a few days, even less.
After some weather-related delays, the cameras on Factor's roof are now in service and will be scanning the sky on clear nights.
From a statistical point of view, it is virtually certain that the universe is teeming with life, and the universe is really big. So we just haven't come across it yet.
Laser SETI hopes to install these instruments around the globe. Right now, only about 20% of the night sky is being surveyed.
It's difficult finding, but looking is very easy.
Thanks to Factor, Laser SETI, and its donors, mankind is looking harder than ever before.
Man, that sounds like something right out of a sci-fi movie. What do you think? Thank you, Kyle Simchuk, for that story. Up next, we are heading to a classroom. This is such a cute story. Students are the stars of the show. We'll show you how they work together to do their own newscast. Welcome back. Producing a newscast or a show like this takes teamwork and trust. And I like to say that everyone in our team is a puzzle piece and we all have to work together to create the big picture, which is what you end up seeing. A group of kids in California are getting a head start on learning the ins and outs of TV news. Jeff Zevely went to check it out.
Okay, team, I already put down some notes, but remember, I told you to start brainstorming.
After choosing the headlines of the week,
Okay, we're gonna take a vote really quick.
the Discovery News team puts pen to paper.
Ryland's doing the exact same thing I do, writing his thoughts down, getting prepared.
Anchors are moments away from being called to the set.
Allison and Kendall are doing exactly what I do. Make sure there's batteries in that camera.
These 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders started airing a weekly newscast last fall.
Is it harder than it looks?
I'd actually say it's more fun than it looks.
Mrs. James is proud of ratings that are on the rise.
I make my husband watch it, I make everybody watch it, because I'm just like, is this not the cutest thing you've ever seen in your whole life? Action.
Mistakes can happen when the talent ad-libs with no teleprompter.
Quiet on set.
Action.
The night at. Oh my.
You've got this, buddy. You're a superstar.
I noticed that you had a blooper,
Yeah.
but then you had the confidence to recover quickly, and then you nailed it. How'd that feel?
It felt good because, like, I got a chance to do it again and I nailed it. The Nights of the Roundtable is on Friday with high schoolers that come to visit our school.
Perfect.
We're taking this set on the road in the corner for what's called Kindness Corner.
Students are honoring their school's music teacher.
3, 2, 1, action.
This week's Kindness Corner goes to Miss Gabriella. Everyone appreciates your hard work while organizing 2 plays at the same time.
Next up, editing on deadline.
Where the news crew experiences technical difficulties.
Loading. It's still not doing it.
Times like these require teamwork.
The whole news team is very confident in each other and everyone knows that they can trust each other.
Minutes later, the show is ready for air.
They filmed, they scripted, they planned, they edited, and now we get to enjoy it.
TV news has a bright future.
Big Break starts on March 5th.
Thanks to the next generation of storytellers.
Have a great week!
That was Jeff Zevely reporting. I love that story. Now this one is pretty cool too. The legendary rock musician Rob Zombie, best known as the lead singer for White Zombie, has a new project up his sleeve and it's not what you might expect. That was the heavy metal band's hit song, More Human Than Human. But right now, the front man, Rob Zombie, he's writing to a different tune. He wrote the children's book, Z is for Zombie. It's a spelling book to help children learn how to spell words and phrases. The book reached #1 on Amazon's new release horror books list. Alrighty, well, that wraps up this episode of Featured. I hope you found something that inspired you or simply made you smile. Until next time, make it a great one.